Mainly what you're going to try to do here is just let them know what's coming. Let them know why they subscribed. There's probably a good chance that they subscribed originally because you offered them a discount code. So make sure to give them more beyond that, because if you joined just to get 10% off, you want to make sure that those people didn't just jump on for that 10% off and then instantly type stop to get out. So kind of forecast a little bit, let them know that they're going to have a good experience here. You're not going to just crush them with spam like so many others do. Your list is different. Treat it that way.
You are listening to the Messenger Mastermind podcast, a podcast that provides actionable tactics for quickly growing e-commerce companies to profitably scale their business. The strategies shared in this podcast are implemented daily by companies generating millions of dollars in revenue each year. Our goal is to help you build long-term profitable relationships with your customers.
Summer is here, and with the world returning back to normal, we can expect customers to get back to their usual on-the-go activities, and your marketing needs to connect with them quickly. SMS marketing allows you to connect with customers directly through their phones. Trusted by brands like Brooklinen, Native, Fanjoy, and more, Postscript is the leading text message marketing platform for brands on Shopify and Shopify Plus. Learn more and get a free 30-day trial at postscript.io. Want to accelerate your SMS subscriber database even faster with more qualified shoppers? Justuno has you covered. Easily collect subscribers with a tap-to-text opt-in for mobile visitors or seamless SMS lead captures across your site. Plus, Justuno directly integrates with leading SMS platforms like Postscript to easily share your hard-earned opt-ins. Justuno's best practices with impression rates ensure that your KPIs don't become overinflated vanity metrics and that your opt-ins are easily shared with your SMS platform. Plus, you can get access to your data anytime, so you can get the data and insights you want when you want them. Get started with a free trial of Justuno today and accelerate your SMS subscription growth. Head over to justuno.com/mastermind to learn more and snag your exclusive discount for being a Messenger Mastermind listener. Welcome to another week's episode of the Messenger Mastermind podcast. As always, I am your host, Jeremy Harwitz, and today I am joined by my incredible co-hosts, Ben Vandal and Mark Aruda. We're back for the second episode of the SMS series. If you haven't checked out our first episode, go back to last week's episode of Getting Started. Today, we're really going to be diving into, okay, you've gotten started, your SMS list is growing. Now, how do we really scale the channel out to be a meaningful driver of revenue? So, Ben, let's just dive right into the weeds of probably your favorite part of this. Do you want to go over the 4 key automations that people should set up when they're scaling out their SMS program?
Yeah, we talked about automations being the most powerful tool that we can use with SMS, right? It makes money while you sleep. That was the exact phrasing we used. So the 4 most powerful automations that we have in the advanced part are welcome series. And a customer signs up for your list. Now, what do you say to them? An abandoned cart, which is they add something to the cart, they don't complete the purchase. You gently remind them or give them an incentive to purchase. A review request, which is now they've made the purchase. You want them to come into your community and rave about the product. And then the 4th is the post-purchase now. So that relationship has closed, and now you say, hey, we have something else that you'd like to buy. These are 4 extremely powerful tools that you can set up in a couple of hours and just make endless amounts of money.
Yeah, so why don't we dive into each one and let's just start going through the funnel. So for welcome series, right, if you followed our tactics from episode 1, you're probably running a 2-for-1. Maybe you're doing some cross-pollination with other channels. What's the best way that somebody can really start that lead nurturing process for their brand?
Yeah, I think there's a couple different ways to go with this. Since SMS is such a conversational channel, I think you could use the SMS to try to grab an email. You could get them to take some kind of action, or you can really welcome them into, hey, this is kind of what we do here. We also have this community or other channel that you can take. But basically what you want to do every time you send a message is kind of be clear and concise and make a very clear CTA. So just don't leave it too open-ended, or you can even come at it from Jeremy's aspect that he's suggested in the past, which is a customer service angle too. Hey, we saw you joined your list. If you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out. We'd be happy to help you.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I just really, really want to press upon people, because these are 2 huge mistakes I see all the time. The first one is this isn't going to be the same 10-step cadence or 15-step cadence that you have in your email welcome. Like SMS, they're going to see the message. If they don't respond, they don't need to be reminded to check out your previous message, especially because important part of the user experience, it's all in a thread, right? Like it's not like I receive an email, I open an email, I close an email, I receive a second email, I go through the process again. Literally, a customer can scroll through every message you've ever sent them in one very clean place. So really think about, okay, if our first message was a, hey, welcome to the brand, here's your incentive to go buy now. Whatever you send in your follow-up, and I really would recommend keeping it at most 3 messages in your welcome series. Like what's that first reply and then one follow-up, second follow-up. Think about the other reasons why a customer would buy. So the customer support is a great angle. Also think about your value stack, right? Like what are all of your second value propositions that aren't the main reason why someone comes to buy, like a free shipping, like great returns and exchanges, like a buy now, pay later program. Like what are the other ways that someone could be incentivized to buy? And then my second piece of advice is keep it personal. And what I mean by that is I feel like everybody's trying to do this grand personalization program across all these channels where you're hitting the customer at the exact right moment, at the exact right time. I think the half of the conversation that everybody's missing is make it personal from your brand perspective. Like put a face, make it like welcome the customer to your brand and like show off some of your either team members or a story about your company. Like give them some piece that they can take away and it's a cool story for them to share even if they don't buy, because there's 2 levels to that. One, they're probably going to end up buying because people like a narrative and they like to buy from people they know, like, and trust. But 2, you also are giving them marketing material to go be evangelists for your brand.
Yeah, I mean, I'm subscribed to a lot of SMS lists at this point, no question about that. And a lot of them are poor. They really are. They're very robotic. I think that's the worst thing that you could do. You, of course, have to understand that you need to be able to do things like tell them how to opt out, telling them things like, if you don't want these messages anymore, make sure to send stop. You want to give an out. If they don't want to be on your list, you don't want them on the list anyways. So don't spend the money to do it. Don't aggravate them. That's just good practice. But mainly what you're going to try to do here is just let them know what's coming. Let them know why they subscribed. There's probably a good chance that they subscribed originally because you offered them a discount code. So make sure to give them more beyond that, because if you joined just to get 10% off, you want to make sure that those people didn't just jump on for that 10% off and then instantly type stop to get out. So kind of forecast a little bit, let them know that they're going to have a good experience here. You're not going to just crush them with spam like so many others do. Your list is different. Treat it that way.
Definitely. So I think like I don't want to dwell too much on the welcome series because I think most brands already have that pretty well built out in email and they have the content to move over and just really think about it, but in that framework. So I think let's go to probably one of the real money makers here of abandoned cart. So do you guys just want to quickly walk through like what are some tactics and some strategies, some like things that have worked really well for us in abandoned cart flows for SMS?
Yeah, abandoned cart is obviously we all know how powerful it is. Basically, any messaging platform that you're on, it's extremely powerful on email, even more so on SMS. Reason why is that it's timely. It's pretty clear the message that you're going to send back to. Hey, we saw that you left this in your cart. If you want to make your purchase, you can then either nudge them or incentivize them to by offering a discount code or something. But Postscript has some pretty cool integrations where you can actually do dynamic images of the product that they left in their cart. You can send to them just to remind them, hey, this is what you were looking at. We found that to be extremely powerful. You can also put the customer's name in the message, which is also very powerful. That personalizes it for them. We've also done some extremely advanced tactics where we segment out and speak to people differently, whether it's their first time on your store or they've made a purchase, or even further, if they're a VIP that spent X number of dollars on your store. So there's a lot of different ways to do this, and just making it personal, conversational, with a clear CTA. I think you really can't go wrong with this tool. But there are a lot of really cool things that you can do with abandoned cart.
I think my biggest recommendation, just from seeing so many different ones, is also don't do the nagging discount reminder follow-ups. Like I haven't seen that be very successful, and it typically burns the list out really quickly for abandoned cart versus This is honestly like one of the places where I'm most bullish on using an MMS message. Typically, my personal preference is use SMS as much as possible, and then really save your MMS for specific moments. And I think this is one of them. Of like Ben said, like pull in that dynamic product photo, load up on emojis, like really make it one engaging message. You also want those extra characters, right? We mentioned last time that the difference between SMS and MMS is, in addition to the use of emojis and images, really how long your message could be. This is such a high value moment for your brand. You're gonna get that automatic open. So make sure that you have a really, really well constructed, well thought out message that's just passive, like, hey, you left something in your cart, come back for a 15% off discount or whatever you're offering. Like really build that out, that it's a compelling piece of content that is like, oh, I have to go buy this now.
Yeah, I mean, just think about always think about it from the customer's perspective, right? There's a really good chance that the journey that they went through on this was they landed on your site. They maybe ended up giving you their phone number through a 2-for-1 lead capture opt-in and added something to cart, but they maybe weren't quite ready to purchase at that moment, but they're very close. And that's why abandoned cart, specifically with SMS, is as valuable as it is, because they've already shown that intent. And this is your way to basically guarantee to get in front of them again. Email, abandoned cart, extremely powerful, but you lack that guarantee of actually being able to reach that potential customer. Not the case with SMS.
Okay, so everything's gone well to this point. We've driven the purchase. I think now let's dive into like what we can do to really retain the customer, extend them over the long period of time, and also with this first flow, probably get a lot more benefit for the brand overall, and dive into like how to utilize SMS for review requests.
Yeah, so this is another powerful thing that you can do with SMS with the advanced tactic of integrations, right? So you can tell using purchase data from Klaviyo what the customer purchased, segment out, and then send them a request to leave a review on whatever your review platform is that also ties to your Shopify store. The beauty of integrations, right? And this is where, you get an additional conversational touch point with the customer where you can ask, did you like the product? If you did, would you be kind enough to leave a review? Maybe you get some information about they don't, and you can make it up to them by saying, hey, what could we do better next time? There's a million different ways for this to go, but this does open up the dialogue to know, hey, we know that you bought a product from us. This experience isn't over. Let's keep going and see what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it. How can we get better? And really kind of open a conversation like you would with an actual human.
Yeah. And I think that this is really important for also just think about your review program, like how valuable, and it's really funny, we just recorded a previous episode on reviews and what you can do with them, but it's so important for your brand of what you can do once you collect a review and that UGC across your site, other marketing and email channels, even going and taking that review content and putting it back into SMS, that capturing those reviews is so important. And when you take a step back to think about classic reviews, follow up an email is a 1 to maybe 3 to 5% capture rate. And just thinking how low that is, if you can scale that up in SMS and get those better opens, get that better engagement, then you can really start to just collect more reviews, which then is just a flywheel of cycling that back into the rest of your marketing. The second piece that I just want to really mention here is review requests are typically a very one-way street where a brand asks for something from the customers. But this is a great opportunity to get the customer really, really excited about the product that they just bought and avoiding the returns and kind of buyer's remorse part of this, right? Like you should be timing this review request message around when they received their product and maybe used it for a week or two. And this is a great time to, in your text message, get them really pumped about the product that they just bought. And then your call to action is the review request. And then the beauty of that is that for everybody who does leave a review request, you can always push a discount code or some sort of thank you or incentive that they took that action to motivate them to buy again. And then you have not only did you get a ton of value, you had them keep their product and curbed returns, but you also just potentially got almost a free second purchase with a minimal discount.
All of these things definitely on point. I think at the most simple level, the way that I like to look at reviews through SMS is just that you're completely removing like the pain of going through the efforts. You're simplifying it. So the majority of people that leave reviews, if you go out of your way to leave a review, it's probably not a good review. But through something like this, where it's delivered to them, it's very easy, that's where you end up getting the chance to capture a lot more of those positive reviews.
Yeah, definitely. Reviews are always one of the most polarizing things. Of it's either people love it or people hate it. So hopefully we can get a little bit more of those people in between who just had a good and normal experience with it and can share that with customers as well. Okay, so I think the last real revenue driver that we should talk about in scaling out is that post-purchase cross-sell, right? Like how do we solve the classic one and done problem that most e-com brands face and really retain customers? So Mark, at a high level, do you want to just quickly walk through the thoughts and the strategies around a post-purchase cross-sell flow?
This is my favorite. This is the most important thing in my mind that you can do to grow your business. You've already captured the sale. The customer's very happy. They're still hot after the purchase. So this is where the additional offer is made. So sending a text message, knowing what they had just bought, offering them something complimentary or something similar, something that other customers buy together. This is essentially going to take the amount of money that you just paid to bring in this customer. You just, spent $25 through Facebook ads to bring this customer in to spend $50. Anything that you can add from that customer on top of that is just straight bonus onto your margin. So sending that text message, it all comes back to, again, just borderline 100% open rate on that message to someone that has already purchased from you. It doesn't get much more simple than that.
Yeah, and we know we've all heard the statistics of how much cheaper it is to retain a customer than to get a new customer, and this is as true as that. This is basically a free shot in the dark at any customer that purchases with you. If you're doing and building your product catalog correctly, you have complementary products for everyone. There's a very good chance that the person that bought from you, that you got their phone number, does not have any of those complementary products, but does need them. So this is a really good chance for you to shine and show your value as a company. Again, show your value as their SMS contact and offer them something that they find useful, solve a problem for them. Again, be timely with it, time it out right when they receive their product. You don't want to send this message before they receive their product. You want them to get it, have it, hold it. They've already left a review in this scenario, hopefully a good review, and then you offer them a secondary product. You've built the trust. You've already done that. You've done the work. And now you can offer them a product, timely, clear, concise, clear CTA, and, do your best. And, you got to get the sale.
Yeah. And I think this is one of those areas that it can get very, very complex if you want to make it really robust. So at a high level first, and this is why we recommend certain tools that have those integrations and that have that deep segmentation ability of, if you know that most of your customers buy product A from you or product category A from you, the easiest and the highest level is create a tranche and create a segment where this flow sends the cross-sell for them to buy product category B that naturally works well. If you're in a replenishment business, then this is super simple. Just send them some sort of incentive to get them to buy more. If you're in a cross-sell business, just really think about what else are those like no-brainer, really simple products that everybody will want to add. The really big important piece here is that it doesn't need to be an expensive product for you to make a lot more profit off of every customer that comes in the door by just getting them to make this second purchase. And so it's really important to think through that. There are so many more ways you can make this more complicated. If you track your time between first and second purchase, that's how, as Ben was mentioning, being timely, like you really want to trigger this flow around when they're going to make that second purchase, right? Everybody has an experience where it's like, this comes in way too early and I don't want this because I'm not ready to buy again yet, or it comes way too late and I've already either bought something or bought a competitor's product. So really having that timed out well, and then what you cross-sell can just get so complicated and so powerful. We're not really going to go into that today. I would use that more of like an advanced 401, 501 tactic. but really making this part as dynamic and as personalized as possible is just going to be a straight relationship to how valuable and how much money you can make. But really like invest in this part of your business. To me, this is the difference between a brand that can just sell product and a company that can build a actual brand and keep people around and retain people. So those are kind of our 4 high-level automation. There are obviously many more. As your brand grows, you'll have specific parts to get into. But I think for now, I think like if you get going with those, you'll do very, very well. And as your traffic increases, all of that will make you more money. Let's dive into the campaigns, because I think that's where people like to spend a lot of their time. And I think also is interesting. So Mark, I know we have 3 campaign types. Do you want to quickly go over what the 3 are? And then let's dive into one of them.
Absolutely. So we're going to bucket the 3 types as the following. Product launches. So those speak for themselves. You have a new product, a new release, something of the sort, and you want to reach out. You're going to send out a blast. Then you have the promos and offers, discount codes, BOGOs, things like that. And then something that probably is left out a lot, but is way more valuable than most people realize, are things like restocks. And that's just simply a product's been out for a while. There's probably some interest in it. And you're going to let people know when those things come back.
Yeah. So, I mean, we all love product launches. Why don't we dive into that first? Like, we've had many, many different thoughts and philosophies on how to include SMS into a product launch. But Mark, why don't you just cover a couple of high-level use cases of what are the most valuable ways to leverage SMS when you're dropping a new product?
Mm-hmm. Yep, absolutely my favorite. So, if you're launching a new product, hopefully you're going through a really strong hype phase to create awareness for the fact that this product is happening. You're letting people know when, the day, the time, things like that. You could do the best type phase in the world and people are still going to forget about it. So you need to remind them. And by far the best way to do that is through SMS. You send them a text message, 11 a.m., products are live, go get it. You're not going to miss on that. So what we usually like to do, stats will tell you can't really go wrong via SMS or MMS, but we usually like to hit a product launch with an MMS just to be able to show them the product, give them a visual, and we are really big on emojis. So we like to go with MMS just to be able to do that, just because it catches the eye, and especially if they are subscribed to other SMS lists, it just helps stand out a little bit.
Yeah, and as far as the way the message is kind of structured too, we like to play with, just like Mark said, it can be an introductory, like a doorbuster deal. Hey, it's live, go get it. Or you can play it kind of off of a message you sent prior. Say you sent an email earlier, and now you're saying, hey, we know you saw the email about the launch. It's still going on right now. So that's the kind of ways that we're going to go into here later in the episode about weaving it in your marketing strategy and playing messages off of each other. But yeah, this is a super powerful one, and it allows you to kind of get that initial offer out in kind of a too long didn't read segment. Get it out there. This is what the offer is. Take the CTA, send them where you want to send them, and they're going to see it.
I actually had to do the too long didn't read TLDR in my head for a quick second. That was a good one. Yeah, I mean, I think this is kind of the simple one, but also the biggest bang for your buck of like, drop a new product. This is going to be one of the best ways to get it in front of your customers' eyes and attention and get them to your site. And one of my favorite things, honestly, is to watch like the Shopify live view on product days. And like, I usually start about 10 minutes before the SMS message goes out and just watching this site traffic just immediately spike. And it's just incredible how much just demand that one message can drive at one point in time. And there's so many ways that you can do it that it's pretty like, definitely follow a specific format and like look for some examples that you like, but really like image, explain what the product is, explain why they want to buy it, like typical sales material. And then, I love the like using emojis as bullet points. Also, I started to do that in other things like Slack messages and other things that I write, because I think it's very easy to attract the eye and to like train people of like, here's what you should expect in the message. So I think in a similar respect of like a big event, promos would be next. So Mark, do you want to just quickly run us through like how to use SMS messages for promos?
Yep. So promo, similar concept. Obviously, you might have a little bit less as far as like the hype phase and things like that. So you might be, you might think of it as almost like a cold message where they might not be quite as prepared for what's coming. So you might have a little bit more explaining to do, still kind of might justify for the MMS to be able to show a photo, use the emojis to make it easy on the eyes and things like that. Again, just going with the like, is this 20% off offer? Is this a BOGO offer? What is it? Make it clear, give the CTA, and above all else, just make it as simple as possible. You are texting someone, so don't make this an ad. That I would say that's the most important thing. You want to make it enticing for them, and always try to work in as much scarcity and urgency as possible. Being that this is an SMS, you know that it's not like they're going to open this 2 days later, like an email. So you can play to the time a little bit to say like, this offer might end within 24 hours. Even going as far as saying this is the last chance offer. We've had a lot of success as far as like running an offer for 2 full days, and we hit all the channels, we hit them hard. We think that we've done everything that we can do to get sales out of this, but then we send out that SMS as last chance promo offer, and you'd be very surprised how much comes in because of the urgency around that, which you can't really have in email.
Yeah, I think that's kind of an awesome 1-2 punch here in this strategy too. Like to almost bookend it where the promo started, you send out a text message, hey, this promo is live. And depending on the duration, obviously, if it's a 24-hour sale, you don't want to send 2 messages. But say it is, like Mark said, a long weekend, 48, 72 hours type of thing. And then you send one to start the message, hey, this offer is live. And now, just like Mark said, at the end of it, hey, just a reminder, you can segment out purchasers and make sure you're getting who you want to hit. But hey, just a reminder here, there's 12 hours left in the sale. If you want to take advantage, I would do it now. That type of 1-2 punch for this, because the customer is seeing it. Again, it's very, very powerful and really one of the best campaign tactics we have.
Definitely. And I think this is where the beauty of SMS really shines, because you're getting that guaranteed open, because people are going to react. You don't have to send a lot of messages, and they don't need to be super robust or built out to be very effective. And that would honestly be kind of my also like word of warning here. I've just seen too many brands see the early success and then just destroy their lists with way too many promos. And that's why I think the 1-2 punch is a very effective framework, because you really should only be sending the one message and the follow-up message, not 15 promos and really like hitting people every week or very frequently with this. So that's something really important to keep in mind. The other thing that I just want to caution everybody on that same line here is that you shouldn't be sending both of those SMS messages for every single launch promotion, every time that you run an offer. You really want to think about that strategically, especially if you're a brand that runs promotions more typically than the average brand, because you'll just desensitize your list very quickly, which could have many problems. Of one, you might not get your customers to buy from any other type of incentive other than a promotion or a discount. And 2, customers are just they're going to stop responding to your content, your product launches, like the actual things that will drive profit for your business. So this is one of those like great power, great responsibility. Like think about this and then weave it in a very strategic manner. So let's get into the third one, probably the most overlooked of restocks. Mark, you want to kick us off on that one?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I think that this one's probably pretty straightforward as far as understanding it, but still it's not done very often. And that's really quite a shame, because if you have products on your site that are sold out, there's a really good chance that people are looking at those products every time they come to your site and just kind of wishing that they had their opportunity. So when that does come back, they probably want to know. If they're on your SMS list, they probably want to know things like this. So I guess I'll give 2 main points around back in stock messages. The first is, in your copy, definitely speak to the fact that this has previously sold out. So using that language of, this was a really hot item, sold out really quickly, it's been gone for a little while, and now it's back, is extremely powerful. The other one might go without saying, but very important. You want to segment out people that have bought this in the past. You don't want to pay to send to someone who's already owned this particular product. And of course, you don't want to annoy them either, because they're going to jump off your list if you're sending them back in stock notifications for something that they already own. It's a simple thing. Don't overlook it.
Yeah. And I think that this is another place where the segmentation comes into is important, because while you definitely want to send a notification to everybody who expressed interest or who was interested in it, I think actually back in stocks are a great way to just send it to the more general list, so that the people who maybe didn't show any indication that they wanted it, and that they can buy it again. Because some people will just miss on it the first time, or they won't sign up for your notifications, or they just like won't think about it. But when they see it the second time, and as Mark said, like, especially when you show that scarcity, that this thing has already sold out before and it's very popular, that usually will also motivate a lot of people to come back and buy again. And so, and that, I think that's really the beauty of SMS in general, and kind of like rolling all of this up of, we haven't really talked about really that much communication, right? We talked about 4 flows, maybe 1 to 2 messages in each of those flows. We talked about campaigns, which are depending on the velocity of when you put product out and content out, maybe a couple of times a month. Like, it's not a heavy investment channel, but if you do everything really well and you focus on the quality of your messages a lot more than the quantity, which I would like to think an email, but isn't always the case, you can really have a super high return. So I think the last piece to just kind of round this out, because the one thing that I think always comes up in our conversations with brands when we talk about these things is like, how do I coordinate all of this? How do I make this work, considering that I'm already doing stuff across a bunch of social channels? I'm already emailing my customers a ton. I'm probably running ads. Like, where does this fit into the greater landscape?
Yeah, I think this is a different case for every company, and it really just depends on a lot of testing by you. I mean, we have done with a lot of different companies. We've led with SMS and followed up with email. We've also led with email, followed up with SMS. Other marketing channels. It all depends. It's definitely something that's nuanced. But one thing to keep important is to kind of keep a little congruency between your emails and your SMS messages and any other marketing messages. You want them to all play off each other and not say the exact same thing, but referencing them gives a really cool effect when you're kind of being omnipresent. And that could be referencing copy that's in your ads. It can be reminding them about an email you sent earlier in the day, the way we referenced it early in this episode. And that's kind of the testing way and the cool way that you can kind of weave your SMS in and out of your different marketing strategies.
Yeah. And I like to think of like a lot of what Ben just said from, I have a 3-step framework of, first, just schedule everything and put it on a simple calendar to see what times everything is going out. First mistake is people will send an email and an SMS at the exact same time, and someone will get hit in both places. So always just stagger things throughout the day and just schedule everything out. The second one is coordinated. So just as Ben said, right? Like, a customer probably is signed up to, well, it's actually interesting. For some brands, people only sign up to one. For other brands, they sign up to many. But always write things as if someone is going to read your email and your SMS. Because the incredible benefit here is what we've actually seen is customers who subscribe to both, we actually see better engagement and performance in both channels when we send both messages at that proper cadence versus them cannibalizing each other. Where email performance and revenue goes up when we send the SMS, SMS creates its own new revenue and sometimes will play back and forth. So that's really important. And then the third one is just always think about it from the customer perspective, right? If I'm only signed up to one channel, make sure that I get the message. But if I'm signed up to many, that I'm having a good holistic experience. Because once you schedule everything, coordinate everything, and then plan it out, you'll see this really nice ecosystem effect where all really like each thing builds on each other, where you have new revenue coming from each channel that then also has a halo effect on your other channels as well.
Yeah, I mean, we always say staggering them out. You'd be surprised how many people actually just send them all at once, and that's really poor. Again, we always just kind of go back to what the customer is thinking and experiencing. So the easy way to explain it is if they're at work or at school or doing something, then giving them a second reminder is really important. But another way to look at it is like, if they're subscribed to you on multiple channels, they probably really like what you have to offer. And maybe they weren't going to buy it off that first message, but your second or third message was kind of the tipping point where they said like, all right, I was going to hold off, but thanks for the reminder. I'm going for this now. So it will make a difference in a lot of ways to stagger it out rather than just bombard. That's just annoying overall.
Yeah, and I think thinking of the ways we described how valuable an SMS number is in the past too. This is a high intent person, so you can speak to them that way. This is very similar to like your retargeting messaging. The form, an email would give you more information. This is more clear, concise, and to the point. A clear CTA. You know this person, they're on your SMS list. They have high intent, so speak to them that way too. That's the most important thing. Just give them a clear CTA, be clear and concise with your messaging, and know that they're a high intent person. So they really do want to hear from you. So make sure you don't abuse that too. Make sure you're sending messages on the campaigns that we messaged, on the automations that you messaged. These are all high value touch points. You're not just reaching out to somebody for no reason. Make sure you don't abuse the channel and be clear and concise with your messaging. And I think you'll be nothing but happy with the results.
Definitely. And I think the really cool part about this, as you start to, right, you're probably going to add it on as an add-on, like you're probably going to introduce SMS as an add-on channel and figure out where it fits. But as you test this and as you scale the channel over time, you'll figure out where that right fit is for your brand, where you can really rely on it, where it becomes a primary channel, not just a supporting channel. And that will evolve. And I think the cool thing about working with so many brands over the past 4 or 5 years is to see how that has taken different shape for all the different brands that we've worked with. But just really thinking about like, okay, I have my core channels of paid social, SEO, email, affiliate. Where does SMS fit in that stack? What's that net new experience we could be creating for customers? That's going to be really interesting, which is a great segue to my outplug here of next week. We're going to be talking about what are those advanced segments. How can you really, like once you build that foundation, once you scale things up, how can you turn SMS into a really interesting net new channel, dive into those things that might be a little bit more complicated, but once you have the resources, once you have the time to really invest, could be an extremely valuable part of your business that might take it in a completely new direction that you haven't built before. So if you aren't already subscribed, subscribe now, please, and check out our future episodes. Thanks for listening to another week's episode of the Messenger Mastermind podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with another e-commerce marketer. And always let us know what you think down in the comments below. Also, don't forget to subscribe. If you're looking for cutting-edge tactics and the resources that we rely on to run our businesses, sign up for our newsletter. We'll include a link down below. As always, stay confident, connect with your customers, and keep growing.